Casey.
Hi, Danielle.
Welcome to another episode of Bonus Sesh.
Wow. We have a guest sitting in front of me.
Now, this is someone we have talked with and of many times.
Endlessly.
And I feel like she's a part of the podcast at this point because we have touched down on.
She's a third co-host, but she's the co-host in the stars.
Yes.
I think that's a nice transition,
I
Danielle.
think that's a great transition, even if you said it yourself.
Yeah, I did. I loved what I just said. Danielle, sitting before me, I have the lovely and radiant, that's another pun we'll get to later, Ms. Heidi Rose Robbins, astrologer to the stars.
And by stars, we mean Casey Rose Wilson, June Day Rayfield, and one Danielle Schneider.
And many more.
So many, Jessica St. Clair, all of the biggest stars of Hollywood.
The biggest stars in Hollywood. Heidi, welcome.
Thank you. I am beyond delighted to be in this room with you guys.
I feel like we've broken down for people what you've said to us, and a bunch of our listeners have even contacted you and gotten readings, which I urge anyone to do, of course. Yeah. Heidi Rose Robbins.
I just told Danielle that I feel like now I must have spoken to over 200 of your listeners.
Wow.
And
truly.
I think you're going to get some more.
Truly.
Really? Yeah. And you said something interesting. Tell everyone what you kind of observed about the listeners.
The listeners. Oh my gosh. You have kick-ass people listening to you.
We do.
We really do.
You have powerhouses listening to you. You have an inordinate number of Scorpios, Scorpio sun, Scorpio rising, Scorpio moon listening to you. But like lawyers and CEOs and designers and editors and just like who all have this huge exhale when I say, "Oh, did you find me through the podcast?" And they're like, "Yes." And they're sort of like, it's like their beautiful guilty pleasure that they love beyond.
People who listen are very embarrassed.
Yeah,
but once they go past that,
once you can get past your shame, like anything is possible.
Yeah, like when I see someone in an airport, they're like, they look so when they come up, they look as though they're going to tell me like they stole my luggage. They're like, "I'm so sorry, I'm a listener."
I know. I had a woman approach me at the farmer's market yesterday, and she was like, "Danielle." And I looked at her like, "Do I know you?" And then she was like, "I'm a listener." And I was like, "No, don't be ashamed. Like this is, I'm glad you're not a friend. I'm
glad you're not a foe."
Yeah.
They all, I will say, all feel just like incredible relief listening to both of you talk, just because of your honesty and your humor. They're just like, "Oh, it's such good medicine." I mean, they all say it.
Speaking of medicine, I have to say that you guys can't see Heidi here, but I hope you can feel it through the microphone. Is she's such a calming force and presence. And I know she's also, she's our astrologist, but she's also sort of like a therapist to us, if you will. And I think it's your energy and your poise and your intelligence and your talent. And so I hope that people get that through the microphone, because
I'm sure they will. And Heidi, I wonder if you could just take us to the beginning, and just some listeners might not even know a bit about astrology, or they might not be as well versed as Danielle and I.
Yes.
Turning to you more than I do my own therapist, but just take us through maybe a little bit about your dad and how you came to this work.
Yeah. So I was raised in an unusual way. I spent most of my early years in Fargo, North Dakota. My dad was an opera director at the Fargo-Moorhead Civic Opera Company, but he was also an astrologer, and then later owned the Question Shop, which was a metaphysical bookstore in Fargo, North Dakota that no one went to.
The question was, why isn't anyone coming?
Yeah, the question was, why are we in Fargo?
He also had a radio show called Astrology in Action that was on every day, and they did astrology. This was in the 70s. So I grew up with him whispering in my ear and singing the zodiac and saying, "Look at this friend. This friend's a Taurus. Look at this friend's an Aries." So it's in my blood like a second language, like somebody was speaking French to me, So
when you meet people, do you often know their sign before you
No.
They've told you?
I know I could say, oh, that looks like, definitely you can see physiognomy. You can see the signs in the face. You can see it in the body. You can absolutely see, but I couldn't say for sure, oh, you're a Taurus or you're, a Scorpio or you're, but I could say, I bet there's some planets in Scorpio or some planets in Capricorn. You can absolutely see it in the body. It's fascinating.
Wow.
Yeah.
So just tell me about astrology in general and how you practice it.
So for me, it's not at all fatalistic. I'm not a fortune teller. I'm not psychic. I'm not going to tell you that in 2 weeks this is going to happen. For me, it's a beautiful tool to look at the cycles of our lives and to look at the relationships in our lives and to say, this is a window of time where I could really like commit like I've never committed before because of this particular cycle. So look, we've been looking at the stars for thousands of years. We, connected to crops, connected to when groups would move hither and yon, connected to kings and queens ruling their queendoms, right? So we've been looking at them for thousands of years, and we continue to look at them. They're not doing anything to us. Like Pluto isn't doing anything to me, but we're all in relationship to these great beings. So for me, it's an incredibly grounded science and art that just helps me help people take the next step in their lives to feel better, to feel encouraged, to feel motivated, to feel like they don't have to be stuck in an old pattern.
That's so amazing and I have been born witness. First of all, if there's something hopeful on the horizon for me, that's amazing to hear because, if you're in a place where you just are struggling with something, you'll say, things are going to kind of feel more space around maybe April or May. And so that just feels hopeful. But also there have been times I've called you when I am really struggling and you're saying that makes sense. And there's such relief in that.
Such relief. In fact, those are the tears that I experience the most with clients is when they're like, oh my God, thank God it's true that this is a difficult time. And when will it end? And, and I just want to say something interesting. I did a chart for the two of you. I put your charts together just because that's fascinating. Because
I have chills.
Yeah. But I want to say it's so cool because between the two of you, you have all these planets in Sagittarius, which is the sign of laughter and inspiration. And at the very top of your chart is Venus in Scorpio. So you love to do the dig. You love to get to the truth. You love to speak the truth of the matter. And in doing so, in naming what is like ooh or dark or interesting or sexy, it's actually this incredible uplifting inspiration of the Sagittarius.
Did you see in the chart that we would make fun of the housewives?
Did you see Teresa Giudice in our charts?
Oh, no. I will say what I also that's so cool, and I'll show you the top of the chart. I'm holding it up.
We need to frame
You
this.
also have Aquarius rising, which rules the internet, which rules the distribution of information. Like it rules podcasts, basically. So, I mean, that's kind of crazy.
Wow, you were meant to do this. It was written in the stars.
And Aquarius rules improvisation, too. It rules like on the spot, easy, all of that you do so gorgeously.
Heidi. I really have chills right now.
I do, too. That's such a fun reading.
It is. And I also feel like it's nice to know, to go back to what you were saying is like, when you are having a difficult time, sometimes you're like, am I imagining this? You know what I mean? So for someone to say, no, you're not imagining. And also I do feel like through your readings, you have helped us know how to deal with that difficult time and not like, this is what you got to do. You got to call this guy. It's just like how to embrace it emotionally, physically, like because sometimes like just having a thought in your mind to carry you through is very helpful.
Yes. I do feel like truly the whole umbrella of the astrology that I practice is around encouragement. And through that, I mean like firing up your heart, the courage of the heart and saying like, I can do this. I can get through. This is why. These are my allies. This is what's available to me. This is my crazy, mad, gorgeous skill set that's always available to me.
But sometimes it's not the skill set you would have thought.
Right. Exactly.
Because I remember, this is a small thing, but I remember when I first came to you, I thought I was someone that's like, I'm a fucking mess. Like I was just like, my car is a mess. My house is a mess. Like that's who I am. But it never really occurred to me that I didn't like it. It was just kind of like, I guess I have to embrace this. And you said actually quite the opposite.
Yeah.
What will give you structure, what will give you peace and harmony is beautiful things being in order around you. When I tell you it was one of the biggest revelations in my life was to actually find I could leap so much further professionally, even like relationship-wise, everything once I put things in order. It was such an exhale of like, how could I have not been doing this?
Well, and that's such a beautiful example. So you have Capricorn rising. And so the rising sign is what we're calling in, what we want more of in our life. And you actually want more quiet and structure and stability and getting things in order. And then that's interesting too, because Danielle is a Capricorn. So a lot of times when we call in an energy, we're like, oh, this energy is good for me. Do you know?
Right. Because that's what I'm sort of striving for. And you kind of have mastery in that.
And so you get to share that energy together and make each other better through it. And then you also have the Taurus moon, which which loves beauty. So that's where you're saying like the structured beauty.
And loves to be lazy.
Those beautiful people waiting on them.
Well, you just described, just the sun, moon, rising, the definitions of those and the differences.
Simplest way to do it is say the moon is our past, it's our childhood, it's what we do because we were all imperfectly held. No matter how brilliant our parents were, it's what we do because we were all imperfectly held. Okay.
Now I'm just, flashing on myself as a parent.
I know.
And as a child.
It's scary. The sun is our personality. It's our present. It's what we do. And our rising sign, the sign that was at the horizon the moment that we were born, was, ascending over the horizon, is what we're calling in. It's our sole purpose. It's what we're here to be. So I always say to people, pretend like you're your rising sign. Like you are a Capricorn. You are an Aquarius, right? Like
I'd so much rather be a Capricorn than my sun, which is Scorpio.
Listen, your Scorpio is gorgeous and deep, and
I've wrestled with it so much.
Scorpio is complicated.
Thank you.
They are.
It really is.
I have to say, like, you already reflected this to me, but I can't believe the amount of Scorpio energy I have in my life. Like the number of guests I've had on my own podcast they're close, dear people, Scorpio. The number of clients that come to me, I'm like, what am I meant to learn about Scorpio?
What are your signs?
I am an Aries sun, Leo rising, and Capricorn moon. So we all have Capricorn in this room.
So how would, say, a Leo moon present itself? So that's your childhood.
Yeah. So Leo moons do two things. They either become the kind of cowardly lion and they're a little bit shy, like, do you love me? Or they're like, look at me, I'm going to do a dance, clap,
My daughter's a Leo and she is the latter. For sure.
Yeah. My daughter's a Leo too.
Oh, yeah.
I was just going to ask you, is your daughter a Leo?
Yes. Well, your baby we share they have the same birthday, right? August 23rd?
Yes.
Yes. But Henry.
Wow. But
but
Henry's a double Virgo.
Okay, so he was a Virgo. So yeah, Kate, 2 hours later, she would have been a Virgo, but she was born at 3:30 in the morning, and I was literally in labor in a bathtub, going like, am I going to have a Virgo? Like I just couldn't.
It's scary when you're confronted with it.
I couldn't conceive of it.
I thought during labor, when am I going to get my cheeseburger?
Wait a second. I thought that too, because there was a turkey sandwich down below.
Waiting. So wait, what's your rising is?
Leo.
Leo's your rising.
Yeah. And that's, it's so, yeah. So I am here to try to work from the heart, to work around radiance, to lead, to try to express myself. But it's not necessarily my natural go-to. Like, whereas a Leo, we have some friends that are Leo, whereas a Leo is sort of like, yeah, no problem. Here I am expressing who I am.
Very comfortable with
that. Very comfortable with the spotlight, very comfortable with the sun, very comfortable with leadership. Mm-hmm. Leos are the queens. They're the lionesses. They're like
June Diane has some Leo, no?
Yeah. June Diane and I are both Capricorns, and it's funny because although we were very different people on some level, we are both in it. Like we are both working. Like I remember we were doing something at your house recently. I think we were doing that mailing, and everyone had stuff to do, and they had to leave, and the two Capricorns were left going like, "Well, it's not done yet."
They were upset. And it was like 10:30 at night, and the Capricorns said, "We're not going anywhere."
Yeah, Capricorns and Virgos really don't go anywhere. They complete it. And then the Leos, like, they're the queens. They are like, I will be in charge and I will get this work done. Wow. Yeah.
Okay. Explain Scorpio to everyone just a little bit more and kind of what hell it rocks.
Yes, really. So Scorpio is a water sign. It is about depth. It is about death and rebirth. It is about wrestling all fear and anger and sadness into the light of day. It is actually a sign of great, great light and triumph, but you have to be willing to face the darkness in Scorpio. And it feels everything intensely. It's incredibly loyal, deeply loyal to those near and dear. And also like keeps its distance from those that are not near and dear. You got to prove yourself. I got to trust you before XYZ.
So funny. I'm having do you say scorpionic?
Yeah.
Type of experience right now, which is actually why I was late. And it is a personal thing. But I'm only bringing it up because having worked with you so much, I'm able to more identify when I'm in the throes of like the worst part of Scorpio, which is just very simply, my husband is casting a role and it's probably going to be a friend of mine. And so I'm divided. On the one hand, I'm so deeply jealous and I'm in the angry, like, but why not me part of it. But even as and I'm much deeper and darker into that than another person would be.
Yes.
Someone else would be like, that sucks, but like, I'm proud of you. You know, I'm like, we're screaming at each other. I'm hysterically crying. He's like, I've never seen a human this upset. But all the while, I feel this like, something else at work, which is like, I know the Scorpio is going through this only to rise to the level of like, I love that my friend is doing this. I'm proud of her for doing it. She's amazing at it. This is where the universe means to be. And I support her. But I thank you for your work because I'm not there yet. But I trust, I now know the cycles of it and of myself that I think I will get there.
That's so beautifully said. It really is. And look, there's a reason why I have so many Scorpios in my life. I so love and admire the Scorpio journey because it is hellaciously difficult and you have to face yourself again and again. And I am much more a person that implodes, that would be like, no, it's all fine. It's all fine. It's all fine until I go boom, boom. And I can't even like, it's like a gigantic mess. Whereas Scorpios are often like, no, you're going to listen now and we're going to wrestle and it's going to be out there. And then you're sort of like, oh, I've exhausted myself, like, and
I'm dealing with a Libra who's logically keeps being like, but let me just explain what happened one more time. And you'll see it was fair.
Right.
I'm like,
I'm drawn to the energy of Scorpios.
Yeah.
I have Scorpios in my life. I have all my life. I am drawn to...
Is your husband a Scorpio?
No, he is not a Scorpio. He's actually September 23rd. Taurus?
No, Libra.
Libra.
Yeah.
But he's not logical. But he always tells me to be logical, so maybe. But he must have Scorpio rising and stuff because I'm definitely drawn to the dynamic of Scorpio. They are a more intense people. They love hard. They yell hard. You know what I mean? Like, and I am drawn to them in my life.
Yeah.
I think I'm attracted to the energy of Scorpios.
Well, and Scorpio and Capricorn together are kind of crazily unstoppable because they're just like Scorpio is tenacious and Capricorn is determined. And so they're both like, we're gonna climb and do this and we're never gonna give up.
Well, it's funny because June and I are writing partners and you've pointed this out. I'm a Scorpio Capricorn rising. She's a Capricorn Scorpio rising. And so it's been, it's like a force that is for evil or for good. We're both like kind of propping the other one, I would say, up, and I don't know how you would describe it.
Well, it's been such an honor and such a cool thing and such a great joy to watch that journey of the two of you because you really have grown each other. Like her Scorpio rising has deepened and like she, like the realm of that whole Scorpionic feeling, you have been her teacher and her uprightness and leadership and authority and like, like we're going to get it together. It's been, and it's good medicine.
Yeah. It really is good medicine.
A lot of times people are like, well, what's a good sign for me to be with? And I often say the sign of your rising sign. Do you know, like if you call in somebody that is your rising sign or even opposite your rising sign, both of those are not often looked at, but they're powerful in terms of partnership.
Well, you got me to look at something once. You had given me a reading where I was coming from an area where I was working and feeling good. I was finally like, working a lot. And you were like, there's going to be a change. And it scared the shit out of me because I was like, no, I don't want it to change. You're like, this is not going to continue. And I was like, fuck, I'm fucked. Like it all ends today, and you were like, no, you're going to start to be in a leadership position. And it started to happen where myself, my writing partner, just in my life, I started to just be more in charge of my path. And it was shocking because I was like, oh, this, like, I was so scared of it. But then hearing your words of like, no, it's going to be like, you just have to get through the transition of it.
And sometimes it's just beautiful to hear someone see you in a way you don't. We all see ourselves in our old like pattern, in our old boring story of like, I'm just an angry, jealous person, or I'm weak, or I couldn't be a leader.
I'm a worker bee. I'm not the leader. And that was like, oh, wait, you're empowering me you're showing me that I can be.
I mean, it's so powerful what we name ourselves, right? You could say, I'm a total mess. And I could say, you're the most loyal friend I know. Do you know? Like, I can see that in you, in your community, do you know? And you could be like, I'm a worker bee. And I could say, oh no, you're a queen. Like, you're in charge, right?
A queen in overalls.
I know I am wearing overalls, so it's hard to take me seriously today.
You're a cute little queen.
Yeah, cute, adorable queen. I have a question for you, Heidi.
Good.
Have you ever met someone that is so not what their signs are? Like they tell you their signs and you're like flummoxed by like, wow, you are not presenting yourself in any way like that.
I think sometimes the sun sign maybe is not like, if you like, oh, you're not showing up as a Scorpio, but then there might be a stellium, which is a whole bunch of planets in Libra. And you're like, oh, there it is. Like if once I see the chart, then it's rare that I would go, you are so not in line with this chart. Like, cause it shows up.
How long does it take you when you do the chart? Because it's so much more complicated than just rising, moon, and
Sun.
How long does it take you to assess someone's chart? And will you just explain also how you get to the chart? It's from your birth?
Yeah, your exact birth time, place, and date. And so exact time is incredibly important if you can get it, you know?
Yeah, I remember one friend didn't have it. It was like 2 different minutes. And you're like, well, if you're this, you're this. And if you're that, we always had to keep qualifying her 2 possible charts.
The rising sign can be different. And well, here's the interesting thing. When I first started astrology, which was years ago now, I would spend 2 to 3 hours preparing a chart. I would take notes about every single position, and I would be my little Capricorn moon. I would be diligent. I would work as hard as I could possibly work. Now I print it up and I say hello. And this happened right after my daughter was born. Yeah. So I was like, no time. And it's way better. Mm-hmm. It's like way more intuitive. I can enter from any point. I say, what's going on with you? What do you need? And we enter the chart from wherever it is.
And you kind of like rely on the chart to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know what it is. You work something 10,000 hours. I think I have 10,000 hours, you know, and then you go, okay, what's going on in this moment?
Now you trust yourself to know that you know what it is.
Which is a perfect example of my Capricorn moon, where it's like, I've got to follow all the rules. I've got to do it right. I've got to be organized. Releasing into Leo rising, which is emotionally spontaneous and present to what's happening.
And do you feel the best when you feel you kind of give way to your rising?
Oh God, yes. I love my Capricorn moon because she's like industrious and she wants to get places, but I feel
keeping you with a home and clothes.
But I feel way better when I'm truly in the Leo.
And when you talk about, because I know this to me is the most kind of often talked about thing with astrology, which is like Mercury and retrograde and all of that, but also like, what's the main life event that you say happens? It's your
Saturn return.
Saturn returning. Yeah. And could you talk about what that is too?
Yeah, so I'll just say every planet has an orbit, right? So Jupiter takes 12 years to go around the chart. Saturn takes 29 years. Uranus takes 84 years. Wow. So imagine any of those planets hitting your sun, and each one, when it hits, is going to do something special. So when Jupiter hits your sun, it's expansion, it's growth, it's opportunity. So everybody that's a Scorpio right now is going to have a kick-ass year by the end of it. They're going to heal, they're going to transform, they're going to feel better by the fall.
Okay? Fall.
Seriously, this is your year of growth. This is your year of growth.
Ooh, oh, yeah.
And it can start out ugly and it can start out like with all the fears and ickiness coming to the fore, but it's a year of healing. When Saturn hits your sun, which actually it will for you soon, Saturn is like taking on responsibility, discipline, authority, pressure, I'm climbing the mountain and I'm really climbing the mountain, So, and that only happens once every 29 years. What you ask me about is a Saturn return, which is when Saturn returns to the position it was when you were born. And that happens every 28 to 29 years. And it's a time of maturation. It happens when we're 28 to 29, 56 to 60. We assess our life. We go, okay, I've built something. What's coming along with me to the next stage? What am I leaving behind? People get divorced. People leave jobs. And
28 is when people start to get married a lot.
Yeah, exactly. They get married. They take on their first position of authority. Yeah. You can see it again and again.
We're looking at you, April.
She did quit working for me.
And yet, here she is.
It's a slow transition.
One more question, Heidi.
Yes,
Just for our listeners who may be all varying different signs, do you mind, you don't have to, however you want to do it in your way, which are sometimes you've given me for Scorpio, for instance, you say, the warrior am I.
Yeah.
What's
warrior
that?
am I, and from the battle I emerge triumphant.
Ooh, I love that.
I have that on my, I can't believe I couldn't remember it from sight, but that is kind of the Scorpio mantra.
It is.
And it's quite a nice
gorgeous.
spin on it.
Yeah.
Do you have any other mantras that you can remember just
or ways to describe each sign?
Yeah. So, I mean, I may not say, I may not say the full mantra, but let's just say Aries is all about coming forth with bold ideas. I come forth, and from the plane of mind, I rule. That's Aries.
Wow.
Taurus, I see, and when the eye is opened, all is light. Taurus is all about intuition and seeing the light in things. I mean, that's beautiful.
That
is April.
Yeah. Gemini is all about the dance of relationship and connection and goodwill, like connecting people, saying, hello, 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 we're all connected now, there's goodwill. And it's also the writer, communicator. Cancer is all about, I build a lighted house and therein dwell. It's about the lighted house of your body, your home, your family. Leo, the queen, the lioness, the one in charge with her fiery heart, the generous leader.
That's my daughter. She is the queen with a fiery heart.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Virgo is the discriminator, the priestess, the one who works hard in the material world for the good of all.
That's my husband.
Yeah.
That is my husband.
Very analytical, very mental, very, Libra, right relationship, finding the middle noble path, finding balance, right? Scorpio, the warrior, diving in. Yeah, so David's a Libra, that's right, of course he is. But he's got a lot of Scorpio.
Yep.
So, you know my friend, my dear friend Elizabeth, she is a Scorpio with Libra rising. So she has both of those things in her all the time. Like, let's be peaceful. I'm going to kill you. Let's be peaceful. Okay, Sagittarius is seeing the goal. It's the visionary. I see the goal, I reach the goal, and then I see another. Capricorn is authority, responsibility, father, discipline, commitment. Aquarius, break the rules. Capricorn follows them. Aquarius breaks the rules. Aquarius is like, I color outside the lines. I might be a lone wolf, but I might have my incredible community. It says, water of life am I, poured forth for thirsty men. And Pisces is the one who wants to save and uplift and redeem and is compassionate and sensitive and feeling and cries the tears for all of us.
Wow, thank you, Heidi.
That was the quickest spin around the zodiac that I could muster.
Well,
Heidi, you are also a poet, and that to me was just a poem.
No, I've been in a writing class, a writing workshop with you, and your poems spill forth in a way that like they come so easy to you, and you're so lyrical and so intelligent that I was always like, here's a funny story.
I loved your story.
And then Heidi would always write something just so beautiful and profound. And
well, I want to get into just a few ways people can connect with you, because I've noticing that you're doing something different on Instagram lately.
Yes.
Will you tell your Instagram?
Yeah. It's been such a joy. It's been doing it for 4 months. Every morning, I wake up at 5:15 and I write a moon note. It's called, I'm calling them. So I let you know where the moon is every day. And people are telling me that they wake up every morning and the first thing they look at is that to set the tone of the day. And my thought around it is read it so that you can use the energies consciously. So that you're not like, what's wrong today? I feel miserable. And then you're like, oh my God, the moon is in Scorpio. The moon's in Pisces. The moon's in, so you can actually use the energies to the best of your ability.
I have been. Since you started doing that, it has really, like, the first thing I wake up in the morning and I see it is what you have written. And I'm always like, okay. And then also what my workout teacher is like, get your fat ass out.
Two different types of nudges.
Two different things, but both helpful in their own way.
Both helpful. Awesome.
But both are like the things I need in the morning, which has been great. And everyone, what's your Instagram handle?
Heidi Rose 4, HeidiRose 4.
Heidi Rose 4.
Yeah.
And tell us about your podcast. You have a podcast that I'm loving, and I've always said I believe you need to be the next Oprah. I do. I do. And for a world that Oprah set up, which is like, I feel like Oprah did so much great work opening us up to the more spiritual. She was kind of ahead of her time, where people are like, what's this? Oprah's tackling like issues of the soul. But I really think you're such a powerful person. And I really think anyone listening to this would benefit so beautifully from a reading or from even just listening to your podcast, which is?
It's the Radiance Project. I started it in October. And, in a way, it's funny, like even I think about maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I think I got together with Casey and June and was like, I'm thinking about doing some kind of show. What do you think? I think it was even before it was certainly before you were doing this podcast, but I've been brewing about it for like 10 years. And then finally, I think it was Jessica St. Clair that was like, do it. She just like pushed me over the edge.
That sounds about
Just
right.
a sign again. Remind me.
She's got lots of Virgo energy.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But she was awesome. And so it's
By the way, June wanted us to meet with Heidi. June was basically like, I'll manage Heidi. When we needed managers ourselves desperately.
listen, I'll be you all have been a huge source of inspiration and like support to me as well. So I'm really grateful.
But the podcast is so cool. Like, tell us the kind of components of it.
So it's astrology, poetry, inspiration, and good company. So every time I have a guest, I ask them if they're willing to talk about their astrology. The feedback that I'm getting, and I choose a poem for them. I read them a poem, and they always read a poem as well that I've chosen. And the feedback I'm getting is that people are learning astrology by listening to my guests. They're like, oh my God, she's a Taurus, and she's got Libra rising like me. And they're learning it more than through a book or even through me just talking about it. And so they're getting textures and flavors.
Yeah, because I went on a retreat. You also do these beautiful women's retreats in Ojai, and I went, Kulap's gone, June's gone, and it was actually beautiful seeing other people. Sometimes you would do exercises where someone might get up and embody your sign, or you would just hear someone sharing an issue or a problem that maybe you weren't specifically having, but you're like, wow, that's how the Scorpio manifests itself, or I see now how a Taurus.
We're so excited because actually this Saturday, a small group of kick-ass women are getting together to video some embodiments of all the signs and all the planets. So they're going to be online and available. Like,
Dream role.
You know, and they're, yeah, seriously. No, but they're women that have actually been attending the retreats now for years. And so they're just, it's in their blood and body to just embody these energies. So they're going to be available soon. So.
Everyone's got to watch this because, you know, 3 people would go up and Heidi would have each of them kind of act out, but it's very physical and vocal. Mm-hmm. It's not like little scenes. It's just kind of like act out my Taurus or my Scorpio and my Capricorn and put it all together. So it sounds like a 3-piece band, like a crazed band, but you literally see in front of you what is going on in your head.
Yeah.
And it's wild. And you're like, finally, everybody sees what I'm dealing with here.
Yes.
And some other people's are like more like a cool journey. Mine's like, wow.
Yeah. And people are like weeping and laughing simultaneously at the same time. Yeah. And I am doing another retreat in Ojai in March 7th through the 11th in Ojai. And they're really, I mean, now I can just say they're kick-ass because it's the women holding them outside of me are just amazing. So.
And you can come alone. You can go with, a lot of women come alone, which I find inspiring, or with their mom or a friend.
Yep. I've had mothers and daughters, like, you know, yeah. Beautiful.
I've also found it very inspiring for people who want to get readings or do like sort of like it with a bunch of friends or a group of people that they're close to, is that to see the friends that you've known forever and how you sort of assess them. You're like, oh my God, that's right. And like, so I feel like I learn more about these people through these readings when we've done these sort of group things.
So much more empathetic.
Yes.
Astrology is a great tool for compassion, for self-compassion and compassion towards those that make us insane. Because you're like, oh my God, she is having to deal with these energies, you know, that are really not easy to deal with.
I always want you to do my mother's chart.
I've done many mother's charts.
I think that would be eye-opening for you, Danielle.
Yeah, I would like for that to happen. I'm going to ask my mother.
I met on one of your retreats a double Scorpio, and at first I was like so put off by her. I had a scorpionic journey with her. I was like, I hate this person. Then I was like, I feel so much compassion for them that they're dealing with this. And then by the end I was like, I love this girl.
That's a common journey. Like
Scorpionic journey.
Yeah. Always in the first circle at a retreat like that, you're looking around and you're like, oh God, no, not her. And I love her. And, you know, you have all these things. And then by the end, it often has gotten shaken up, you know? Yeah.
Can I ask you one more question about Capricorn real quick? Is how do Capricorn deal with other people most likely? Like what do you find that Capricorns, like how
they're very much onto themselves. Like they will take care of your business if you need it taken care of. But if you say, oh, Capricorn, how are you? They'll be like, I'm fine. I don't need anything. Yes. It's all good. And it's all very hidden. So you really have to crack a Capricorn open to get them at all to receive help. And it's a profoundly difficult, I mean, I'm speaking, this is a moon in Capricorn, to let anyone help. You know, you start to identify yourself as, I am 5 years old and I am taking care of my parents. You know, I am in charge. So to let anyone help you is almost impossible.
Feels embarrassing. I think
it's embarrassing.
Capricorn.
And you feel vulnerable and you feel exposed and you feel like I'm not in charge now because I've just revealed something intensely vulnerable.
And no one will help me if I were to ask or all of that.
Yeah. So it's really a huge lesson around like cracking open and, you know, I mean, I like fell apart the other day and I had 3 friends around me and they pretty much like picked me up, carried me to the car. Like I'd said something, like I'd sort of cracked open, was like, and they carried me to the car. They put me in bed. I mean, and I was like, it was a profound experience for me because I was like, I'm letting them do this and I need to let them do this, but it goes against every fiber in my body.
When I crack open like that, I can't look a person in the eye.
Yep.
I feel so much shame. And I know, like, you know what I mean? Like, not shame, it's just like in me. So like to look someone else in the eye when I'm having like when I'm feeling that vulnerable is like, I can't. It's so hard.
Yeah.
If someone were to look at me in my eyes while I was like having a breakdown, I would melt into a million pieces. Like I wouldn't know how to I wouldn't know what to do.
And it's so interesting, the practice of trying not to put it back together again and make it okay. Like once you're cracked open, you just have to keep going like, okay, I received that. And I'm gonna continue to receive it. Like I'm not gonna close up again and go like, no, I'm fine. Actually, what I said before, that was not true. You know, there's the tendency to.
But that's why I love knowing all of this, because then you can deal with it. You know what I mean? It just is like.
And then the next time that happens, you might think of what Heidi said, which is like, okay, I just need to breathe and not walk it back or try to avoid it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think for our listeners too, they might find that type of stuff helpful. Like,
well, Heidi, down the road, because we've just abused your time here, but down the road, we might be interested in digging up some housewives charts, and that's down the line.
Yeah.
I would love to do that.
But
I would be so
I'm
much
sure
fun.
they're all just Scorpio.
Yeah.
Scorpio, Leo. Heidi, thank you so much.
you.
And I just want to tell everyone your podcast is called The Radiance Project.
Yes.
And tell us your book of poetry and where we can find that.
Oh, well, so my book of poetry is This Beckoning Ceaseless Beauty, and you can find it on Amazon. And I'm putting together another one right now. It'll probably be an ebook, though, I think, just to get it out there, but because I have a whole bunch of new poetry. So, but yeah, that came out in 2013, and I would love for your listeners to dive in and read it.
I wish you all could see how normal Heidi is. Because that's also a misconception of like LA healers.
And
like,
she's gorgeous, and you've never seen skin like this.
Yeah.
Never.
Oh my God.
The best version of this. Thank you so much, Heidi.
Thank you, guys. You're the best. So grateful to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to add one little PS to our listeners. Heidi just told me there's a really cool thing she's doing right now, which is basically a special. It's much cheaper than her normal readings, but I still think you'll get a lot out of it, which is to go to her website. I believe it's HeidiRoseRobbins.com, but under the astrology section of the website, she's offering $24 transit readings, meaning she'll just take you through upcoming events and like basically an overlook of your whole year of 2018, or if you want to track a specific, like your Libra moon through the year. And they're kind of 15-minute shorter readings, but she said people are getting a ton out of them. And that's a cheaper option if you can't do a full reading, but definitely listen to her podcast, The Radiance Project. Thanks, Heidi. Pray me on.